In sixth grade, I was asked to read a composer's excerpt about a song that our class was performing during our end of year choir concert. And at first I thought, yeah, this should be a piece of cake. Absolutely, I'll do it. But that was until I actually stepped on that stage, stood at that podium, and looked at the sea of people in front of me. Needless to say, I had a lot of stage fright in that moment. So much so that all I could manage to do was look down at the piece of paper in front of me, read it as quickly as I could, and then immediately get off that stage. And although I felt a lot of relief doing that, I knew that I had looked like an absolute idiot, not only in front of all of my classmates, but also to the audience that I was trying to tell something to, who seemed really confused and disengaged with whatever was going on. In order to make sure that I never got that level of stage fright ever again, I devised a three-part system that I always stick to no matter what presentation I ever give. And that is to set the stage, to slow down, and to simplify any content that I may have. Whenever setting the stage, I rely upon the representative heuristic, which means that I always dress the part and make sure that I look like I know what I'm talking about. Not only does that establish credibility with the audience in front of me, but it also gives me more personal confidence going into a speech. And in order to make sure that I really have the speech dialed in, I will always practice in front of a wall as many times as it takes so that I finally understand the way that I want the speech to go. The second step that I take is to slow down. Whenever writing anything that I need for a speech, I always make sure to read it extremely slowly so that I know exactly what parts I want to emphasize and what parts I may be able to speed up so that the audience doesn't really feel confused or disconnected whenever I jump from topic to topic to topic to topic, but instead it seems really cohesive and flows naturally. The final step that I have is to simplify any complex content that I may have during my speech. In my junior year of high school, I was asked to give a speech on a really complex concept of physics, which is black holes. And my audience, at first, whenever I brought up the slide, looked like they were in for an absolute power nap. But I was able to relate back with what they were talking about because I simplified all of my content, so much so that they actually walked out of it looking like they did understand a lot about black holes and were even able to ask a few constructive questions by the end of the presentation. So I've had a lot of experience and a lot of positive things come out of these three steps. So in order for me to gain personal success from any speech that I may have, I always stick to setting the stage, slowing down in my speech, and simplifying any complex content that I may have. And that is how I give any of my speeches and how I fight stage fright.